Week 6 had a lot of injuries to quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, and I'm here to break it down for you. But don't forget, I'm not a doctor. I look into what the real doctors have to say about these injuries, and then I report it to you. So let's get it started. Starting off with the quarterback position. If you have Josh Allen, you might want to keep an eye on this. Quarterback Josh Allen said earlier today he has no concern about his right shoulder injury. However, it wasn't enough of a concern to make him limited at practice. At the moment, I am not concerned, but I do think this is something that we need to monitor. I'm gonna take that note in black pen. Everybody knows black pen means not super serious, just something to monitor. And don't forget, I'm not a doctor. If you have Trevor Lawrence, listen up. He got a knee sprain last week that we need to monitor. Let's check the tweet. Ian Rappaport tweets, Jaguars quarterback Trevor Lawrence, who expressed optimism at playing, is questionable with his slight knee sprain. That's interesting. Let's look into it a little more. Tom Picellaro reports, just mentioned on the Insider on NFL Plus, the Jaguars are signing quarterback Nathan Rout to the 53-man roster per source. Some insurance with Trevor Lawrence dealing with a knee injury. Well, again, I'm not a doctor, but if you sign a man to the 53-man roster, there might be a little bit of a question mark going on. We're gonna need to monitor this. I'm gonna write this in black ink, but I'm getting a little bit nervous, just a little bit. I don't think anybody out there is starting this quarterback, but his injury affects his weapons. Ryan Tannehill sprained his ankle, and if you remember, this is what set him back last year. Titans coach Mike Rabel tells reporters that quarterback Ryan Tannehill's ankle injury is similar to last year. They'll make a decision on his availability after the bye. No word yet on if it'll be Malik Willis or Will Levis if Tannehill can't go. That's not a good sign. This ankle injury kept him out for weeks last year, and he's only older now than he was back then. And if it's not Ryan Tannehill, whether it's Malik Willis or Will Levis, either way, it's not good for the offense that was already struggling. I'm getting a little nervous about this one. I need a third pen. I don't know how many weeks he'll be injured. We save red for the severe injuries. But the reason why this Ryan Tannehill injury matters is for the offense. Let's take a look at the AFC South standings. The Tennessee Titans are at the bottom of the division, sitting at 2-4. They're on a bye and they just lost their quarterback. Well, so did the Colts, but it's going to be tough for the Titans to catch the Jaguars and the Texans. Ryan Tannehill going down really isn't just about Ryan Tannehill. It also has to do with the future of the Titan. If this is a lost season, how long until they start thinking about trading away their assets? Specifically Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry is almost 30 years old and he's in the last year of his contract. What are the odds that they're going to re-sign him when they drafted a running back in the 3rd round last year, Tajay Spears, who looks pretty good, might I add? They're already splitting snaps. They're basically preparing this guy for the role. The most likely thing, I think, is Ryan Tannehill gets injured, sits for a while. They see what Will Levis has. They did draft him in the 2nd round last year. You gotta see what he's got. If anybody wants to trade for Ryan Tannehill, they can. If anybody needs an aging quarterback, what happens to DeAndre Hopkins? Maybe they want the new quarterback to have a receiver to throw to, or maybe they get rid of him. Either way, rumors are swirling. According to NFL Rumors, the Tennessee Titans are expected to explore trade options for Derrick Henry at the trade deadline. And don't forget, I'm not a doctor! If you got Justin Fields, listen up. Starting to get a little concerned. According to Adam Schefter, Bears quarterback Justin Fields' dislocated thumb is expected to keep him out. In the words of a source, for however long it takes for swelling and stiffness to reside and strength to come back so he can grip the ball. Homie can't even grip the ball? I'm not a doctor, but that's not a good sign. You kind of need to be able to grip the ball if you're gonna throw it. I know he's a running quarterback, but he's not running that much. He still has to throw the ball. Red pen for this one. I am concerned about his return. Also, to add another wrinkle in it, I got a feeling that the Bears aren't gonna be pushing for him to come back. It might be in their vested interest if he were to stay out. Whether they want to re-sign him or not, a better pick is probably going to be the best option for this team. Well, let's check out the standings. In the NFC North, the Chicago Bears are currently 1-5, sitting at the bottom of their division, and they've allowed the most points against by a large margin. Yikes. It is in this team's best interest to continue to lose games because not only do they have their 1st round pick, they have the Panthers' 1st round pick too, and they're not doing so hot. The Panthers are currently one of the only teams that are worse than them. They're 0-6. whether they want to keep Justin Fields or not. There's a world where the Bears have the first and the second overall pick next year. I think that they're gonna let his hand heal nice and slow. Now he's gonna be fighting to get back out there because he wants to keep his job. Because if the Bears do get the #1 pick, they won't be trading that pick. They will be drafting Caleb Williams. You know, another Williams brother in the house. Needless to say, we're writing in red for this one. I'm less than optimistic, at least for this week. But maybe he's a fast healer and he comes back sooner so he can keep his job. Jimmy Garoppolo's back injury was kind of scary. And I know nobody was starting him, but nobody wants to see a player go to the hospital. At the end of the day, this is a game. Let's check out the tweet. This tweet is from October 16th. Adam Schefter reports, Raiders continue to be cautious with Jimmy Garoppolo and the back injury he suffered versus the Patriots. There will be follow-up tests today, the 16th, after he was taken to the local hospital last night. Per source, the evaluation is ongoing and the team believes it's too early to conclude anything about his status for Sunday at Chicago. As of the 18th, he has not practiced yet. He was on the did not practice list. Anytime a player gets taken to the hospital, that's obviously awful. I have no idea how long he's gonna be out. I'll keep monitoring that and I'll get it back to you. Unfortunately, this is definitely a red pin moment. Get better, Jimmy GQ. Can't wait to see you back on the field. Now, some of you may be curious, how does this affect Devontae Adams or Jacoby Myers? Well, it does downgrade them a bit, but I believe Brian Hoyer is going to be stepping in, and Brian Hoyer at this point in his career is basically a journeyman, so I think that he should be solid. I prefer Jimmy G, but Brian Hoyer should sling that thing because that rookie wasn't getting it done. Next up, Deshaun Watson is still dealing with a rotator cuff injury. I feel like the team really undersold this when we were told originally. Let's check out the tweet. Browns quarterback Deshaun Watson, who's dealing with rotator cuff bruising and called his status up in the air, won't practice today. That was on the 18th. Not a good sign. Though their backup won a game, it wasn't the prettiest game I ever saw. Look forward to Deshaun Watson getting back. I'll let you know more when I know more. This one's really sad. I was really looking forward to this kid playing this year. Anthony Richardson. When Anthony Richardson went down and stayed down, I hurt. I was really looking forward to this kid, but the news broke today. Let's check out the tweet. Quarterback Anthony Richardson will undergo season-ending shoulder surgery. Oh my gosh. I just feel so bad for the kid. He could barely finish a game. He was hurt 2 or 3 times already, and that was through week 5. Well, his season's over. It's safe to say you can drop him. I dropped him in all my leagues. Not Dynasty, obviously hold on to him. I'm very disappointed. I was really looking forward to seeing what the kid can do. He was just getting back. Jonathan Taylor, Michael Pittman was gonna do his thing. Joshua Downs looked good. Sucks. Well, when one person goes down, somebody else steps up. I went over this last episode, but Gardner Minshew is gonna be the starter. I do think that he helps Joshua Downs and Michael Pittman, who are gonna get more receiving work, and Jonathan Taylor and Zach Moss are gonna get more rushing work. So I do think that this team will still be viable, but I definitely think their upside has been capped. I didn't think the Colts were going to the Super Bowl or anything, but I was hoping the kid could make it a little interesting towards the end of the season. The team's still 3-3. We'll see what they can do. I'm really just sad about Anthony. Gotta use the red pen for this one. Out for the season. This job can be tough sometimes. On to the next quarterback. This is actually some positive news. Kyler Murray is one step closer to coming back. And Rappaport reports the Arizona Cardinals are planning to open the practice window for quarterback Kyler Murray today, the 18th. The first step in a slow process to ramp him up, Coach Jonathan Gannon said. Murray and the team will start with his return from his ACL tear, but being on the practice field is a good start. Welcome back, Kyler, to football, kind of. He's gonna be practicing. I believe the team has 21 days to put him on the active 50-man roster. I do expect him to have a nice slow ramp up, but there's a chance they bring him back sooner rather than later. And just to be clear, if they bring him back, they're not bringing him back to sit him. I think that he plays, and I'm pretty sure he has a clause in his contract that if he gets injured, they owe him $21 million. So they definitely not bringing him back for no reason. If they're gonna play him, I think they're gonna keep him. They may be out of the Caleb Williams race. That could be interesting. Black pen for that one, baby. Welcome back. And Aaron Rodgers is trying to defy modern medicine by coming back this will get interesting. Did y'all see him walking around? I was not expecting that soon after surgery. And this tweet seems kind of optimistic. Per Adam Schefter, Aaron Rodgers attempts to make an unprecedentedly quick return from his Achilles surgery. Said Tuesday that he's obviously ahead of schedule, but cautioned that he still has many hurdles to clear before he'll be back on the field. On that, we both agree, Aaron. The fact that you were up and walking around is incredible. You still got a lot of steps to go before you got grown men tracing you, trying to rip you to the ground, but I'm impressed. I'm rooting for you, buddy. The Jets are 3-3. I'm not a Jets fan, but I love theater, and the NFL has been theater with what has happened so far. It started off with a tragedy, and then they won the game against the Bills. Y'all should be ashamed of yourselves. But y'all are 3-3. If Aaron Rodgers can miraculously come back towards the end of the season, and they're anywhere close to sniffing playoffs? I'm just trying to win a game. I would love to see Aaron Rodgers come back and lead the Jets to the playoffs and win a couple games. We're still a long ways away from that. And just to be clear, I'm not a doctor, but that's exciting and I'm looking forward to it. Good luck, Aaron. That's it for quarterbacks. Moving on to the running back position. Christian McCaffrey got banged up this week and knocked out of the game, but the signs are pointing in the right direction. Let's check out that tweet. Per Adam Schefter, none of the injuries for the 49ers standouts, Christian McCaffrey, oblique, Deebo Samuel, shoulder, and Trent Williamson, ankle, are considered long-term, per sources. Each has a chance to be ready for Monday night's game at Minnesota, though the work week will help determine who can play and who can't play. On one hand, they get an extra day to heal up and play in the game. On the other hand, all of your players are gonna have already played, so you're gonna have to roll the dice. What are you gonna do? Well, let's speak to Christian McCaffrey. If you're lucky, you have Elijah Mitchell or Jordan Mason. If you have one of these guys, it makes it simple. You ride it out. It's Monday. If Christian McCaffrey plays, you play him. If not, you play whichever running back you got. I lean towards Elijah Mitchell, mainly because I think that he's better, but he also is coming off of an injury, so Jordan Mason might get some work. Again, roll of the dice. Now, if you don't have him, you got some decisions to make. Hopefully, we know whether or not he's going to play before Sunday at 1, so you can make your decisions. But regardless, if you're in this situation, and to be honest, you should be doing this every week anyways, if you have Christian McCaffrey, you need to make sure he's in your flex spot. They play Monday. There are a plethora of options that could possibly be on the waiver wire that you could use for Monday. And if you put him in the flex, then you can replace him with anything other than a quarterback, obviously. Running back, wide receiver, heck, even a tight end. Some points are better than no points. So make sure he's in your flex spot. Hopefully we know whether or not he's gonna play early, but it's probably gonna be a game time decision. So get one of the backups if you can. Kyren Williams hurt his ankle, and let's just say, it escalated quickly. Originally, they made it seem like it wasn't gonna be a big deal and he might be out a week. Well, that changed. Rams running back Kyren Williams is expected to miss multiple weeks, but should be back. At the latest, after the week 10 bye. Week 10? We're going into week 7. Williams suffered an ankle sprain on Sunday. Well, you don't say. Moving on up here, per Adam Schefter, time for Zach Evans, Royce Freeman, and Myles Gaskin. Haven't heard that name in a while. Well, it doesn't end there. They clearly are concerned because they keep bringing in running backs. On the 17th, the Rams signed running back Darrell Henderson to their practice squad and running back Royce Freeman to their active squad. Yikes. It's not a good sign when you start signing running backs. Oh yeah, and on top of Kyren Williams, Rams placed running back Ronnie Rivers on injured reserve, sidelining him for a minimum of 4 games. Thank God, no IR needed at the time for Kyren Williams. I mean, I had Kyren Williams. Yes, I did. Dynasty, it was looking good. I was super hype. It's gonna be okay. I also lost the next player, but we'll get to him in a minute. I am in this with you, but this is red pin worthy. Drop my pen. Out. Looks like he's gonna be out for a bit, at least till week 10. That's not good. I'm also not confident in any of the backups. The one I like the most, Zach Evans. I think he has a chance to take the role, but Royce Freeman hasn't done anything in forever. Myles Gaskin is whatever. Them losing Ronnie Rivers as well is huge, man. They just lost their running back core. It's almost like they could have used Cam Akers. What a coinky dink. Oh. I also lost this next player. If you had David Montgomery, I feel you. We found a gem. You probably got him late, like I did, and we were gonna ride that to a championship. Well, we still might, but we're gonna have to figure out the next couple weeks. Lions head coach Dan Campbell said running back David Montgomery will be out for a little bit due to a rib cartilage injury. It's a little bit vague, but we can work with that. Problem is, I think they might keep him out through the bye. Week 7 is this week. They face Baltimore. I definitely think he's going to be out here. And the following week are the Raiders. A little bit could be he's out this week, plays the next week. But if they wanted to, week 9 is their bye week. They could keep him out through week 9. Well, he's not necessarily out yet, so I'm not ruling out that he could play. I'm not optimistic, but anything is possible. I need it to be. Jahmyr Gibbs still banged up. We don't know if he's going to play. Craig Reynolds would be the guy that stepped up. I'm not super confident in it, but I do think that if Craig Reynolds gets the opportunity, he could be a fringe flex play with upside because they have a good offense. What if he stumbles into the end zone? My next running back, we had a really scary situation on Sunday. I don't think that any of you were starting him, but it is important for me to bring him up. Damien Harris, running back for the Buffalo Bills. He left the game in an ambulance. I believe it was a concussion and a neck injury. Get better, buddy. Damien Harris left the game in an ambulance after suffering an apparent injury. He gave a thumbs up as he left the field. That's a universal sign for he can move his extremity because crazy things can happen when you play football. There's a lot of collisions. So I'm happy he was at least able to give the thumbs up, and I hope that he is okay. Get better soon, Damien Harris. Bills need you when you get back. Moving on to the wide receivers. I'm gonna hit some of these quick. Tyreek Hill was dehydrated. He left the field. I believe he probably got an IV. I'm understanding that it was cramps. I don't think it's anything to worry about as of right now. Keep you posted if it is. Garrett Wilson left with a non-contact injury for a bit in that game. I was worried. Wide receiver Garrett Wilson says the turf at MetLife is garbage after his non-contact injury today. He says he'll be okay. I take him at his word. Deebo Samuel, I spoke about that earlier, optimistic to play, but we'll see. It is a Monday night game. DK Metcalf got banged up. Looks like he landed on his hip wrong, and a Cincinnati Bengal ended up landing on him as well. We'll have to monitor this situation closer to game time, but as of right now, he didn't practice, so not the best of signs. Let's go through Wednesday's practice reports. Classified under did not practice. Justin Fields, thumb. Zach Pascal, neck. Zach Charbonnet, hamstring. DK Metcalf, rib and hip. Devonta Smith, hamstring. Greg Dulcich, hamstring. Craig Reynolds, toe and hamstring. Wan'Dale Robinson, knee. Roshan Johnson, concussion. Kareem Hunt, thigh. Jimmy G, back. Chris Brooks, ankle. Damien Harris, concussion and neck. Deshaun Watson, shoulder. Hunter Henry, ankle. And these are the ones that were limited for practice. Trevor Lawrence, knee. Devontae Adams, shoulder. Ramondre Stevenson, ankle. Jahmyr Gibbs, hamstring. Saquon Barkley, ankle. And Daniel Jones, neck. Now that was a lot of injuries. I'll keep you posted if I find out any new information on these injuries. I have a lot of information to give you this week. I plan on bringing in the professor to dole out some grades, both for teams and for players. Let's see how your players stack up. And at the end of the day, it's really important for you to know, I'm not a doctor. There's gonna be a lot more this week where this came from. Click here if you wanna stay tuned.